Hello everyone, it's Elaine. Thank you for joining me on my YouTube channel today. I'm sharing this card tutorial which I made for the Lawnfawnatics number 83 challenge, which was Sentiment is the Star. So I'm firstly taking my large stitched rectangle dies and I will run that through my die cut machine, and then I will take the Lawn Fawn stitched circles as well and I will create a circle aperture towards the top of the card. So I've just run those through my die cut machine. I did run them through separately and I didn't measure out the circle, I did just use my judgment and hoped for the best. So on that little circle element we have cut out, this is Strathmore Bristol smooth cardstock, by the way, so things blend on really easily. But I'm blending on some Spun Sugar Distress Oxide ink, Picked Raspberry Distress Oxide, Wilted Violet, Blueprint Sketch, and they are all the Distress Oxide inks. And finally I will add on some black Soot Distress ink at the end, but I did get a bit of ink there on my Spun Sugar. I wasn't too worried, I was quite lucky. That was the area that is going to be covered by the grass at the end, so not a total disaster. But I was a little bit annoyed, but I got away with it. So splattering on some black paint with a small paintbrush and my black paint from my Gansai Tambi watercolour palette. For part of the sentiment I'm going to be doing some heat embossing. So I've got a piece of black cardstock treated with my EK Success embossing buddy. I've got a Versamark ink pad here. These small cubes are really handy for getting into really small places because I only want to ink up that word Halloween. So I've gone ahead and done that, and I'm sprinkling on some gold embossing powder. Going to heat set that with my heat tool until it turns nice and glossy. To trim this sentiment piece down, I'm using my mini guillotine trimmer, or it's an 8-inch guillotine trimmer. And I use that plastic guard to help me line up my letters, and that gives me a really nice even border all the way around. So set that aside for a moment, and I can work on my sparkly letters. This cardstock comes from the Lawn Fawn Sparkle cardstock in the shades Autumn. The pack is called Autumn, and the letters are taken from the Oliver's Stitched ABCs. And I did cut each letter out with some black cardstock as well to give a little bit more stability and dimension to these letters. So adhering everything together with some liquid adhesive. Again, set those aside for a moment and we can work on the grassy borders. This is the Lawn Fawn grassy border die, and I will cut 2 strips out, measuring here how long I want my strips to be, bringing back the front card panel, and I use some post-it tape to help me secure those to the back, and that then acts as my hinge where I can add some liquid adhesive around that edge. Just flipping each one down, pop a bit more adhesive onto this one here, and that will secure everything down. And I can set that aside for a moment to dry while I work on the colouring. I'm only showing the colouring of this little house. I'm using some C markers for the greys, RV markers for the purples here, and I do use the tip to tip method to help get everything to blend nicely. For the blue in the car on the picture, I did use some new markers. I haven't listed them, but I will list some other Copic markers that I think would be good substitutes. For the door I'm using W markers and my go-to colours for pumpkins as well. So really quick colouring, and here's that finished image close up, and here are the rest of the images. So bringing back my card front here, I'm going to pop a bit of post-it tape onto that circle, and I've got a card base here in black, and I will list the measurements down in the description box below because it is slightly larger than a 2-sized card panel. I'm going to line everything up, press down that circle, and then I can add in a bit more liquid adhesive underneath to get that just where I want it. I've popped some foam tape all around the edge of that circle aperture, remove the release paper, and then I can pop this white panel on top. lining it up nicely, and then I can go ahead and adhere my spooky houses with some liquid adhesive. For the card, which is going to sit in the front, I did pop a bit of foam tape at the top, stop everything bowing and get everything to life evenly on the card. Once I'm happy, I can just press down, adding some liquid adhesive to my dressed up people, slotting them in between the grass as well. I do go in with my scissors in a moment. I did trim down the grass just a touch, as I felt the grass covered them up quite a lot. So you would never know that I trimmed that down. And finally, I can add on my letters. I use my T-square ruler to help me get everything straight. I start with the 2 outer letters, then the middle, and then finally the last letters, and this just helps to get everything evenly spaced as best as possible. Can now bring back that heat embossed Halloween. Again, using liquid adhesive to secure it down gives me a little bit of wiggle room to make sure I've got it in exactly the right place. Make sure it's nice and centered, and then press down when I'm happy with it. Final embellishments now. I'm adding some Nuvo Aqua Shimmer Pen on pretty much all of the elements. Some little dabs of liquid adhesive, and I'm going to be adding some sparkly gold stars to the night sky. I thought this tied in quite well with the heat embossed sentiment and the sparkle cardstock. And to finish up, a last minute addition, I'm using my VersaFine Onyx Black ink and those cute little bats. This sunset, I don't think I've said, is Spooky Village. A bit dangerous to be using VersaFine ink near a white card base, but I think I got away with it, and that is this card all finished. I hope you enjoyed this video today. If you did, please give it a like, and I look forward to seeing you here again soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.